Hi there, my name is Craig Wilson. I work for BCL Legal on the in-house team. I cover the central region, so that's basically Thames Valley up to sort of Milton Keynes. I'm talking to you today about the in-house interview and what you can expect when you go along to an in-house client. So basically the basic premise of an in-house interview is very similar to what you would expect in private practice. They're looking to determine your suitability for the role against set criteria and I guess specific experience traits. The most important thing to remember is that when you go along to the in-house interview, you do need to prepare. If you're standing outside the interviewer's door, it's a bit too late. So to really impress, you need to do a couple of things, or certainly you need to know a couple of important factors. One are facts about you and facts about the company. So in relation to facts about the company, it goes without saying, you should know about the company that you're interviewing with. You can't bluff your way through. Candidates who are knowledgeable, have done their research and show an interest about the business and the job come across far better. And there's a stark difference between those who just know the name of the company to those who know a lot about it in detail. So effectively, you've got to remember, clients hire people who can and are able to do a job for the business, and they want to see some signs of commitment before you even interview, that you are prepared to research and understand the challenges and the requirements of their particular business. You should also make sure that when you're doing your research that the company is the right fit for you. I think a great example of this would be very large blue chips where the legal team is large as well. The role can be a lot more focused and in many ways a lot more like a private practice role. Whereas if you were going into a smaller company as a sole counsel, then your role might be more general counsel, in which case you would be doing a lot more than one specific area of law. The other thing, of course, that's important to do when doing your research is to make sure that you visit the company website, make sure that you check recent news stories, make sure that you look at their competition, people in their industry sector, what challenges they might face. Are there any particular regulatory requirements in that particular industry that you may need to know? So that will give you a good understanding of their business and the legal skills and experience that you need. If you've got any contacts that have worked in that particular business or industry sector, obviously question them and try to get to grips with the business. Ultimately, it's about knowing the role, knowing the company, so that you can go in there as clued up as you can and can look knowledgeable and impress. I think the other thing is that's something very important to do is to look at who's interviewing you and research them. So I tend to use the Law Society to scope out the size of the legal team and the levels of those individuals. But then I look at LinkedIn and I use that as an opportunity to find out a bit more about their background and their previous work history. So going on to the second point that you need to know before you interview, which is facts about you. You need to know your CV. And what do I mean by that? I basically mean you need to know all the specific points that you've put in your CV in detail, and you need to be able to talk about those at length and demonstrate knowledge against the job spec. So that leads me to another point, which is knowing the job spec. You then also need to know why you want to move in-house. What is it that motivates you to move and go into this particular role? So it may be that you're making your first move in-house, in which case it could be you did a secondment, or you have just always had a burning desire to be commercial and work in a more commercial way as opposed to in private practice where you tend to operate more as a consultant. You should remember that the move from private practice to in-house is a very big change, and so it's not something that you should take lightly. And again, it's quite self-evident those candidates who have thought about it compared to those who have not. Something else that's important to know about in-house interviews is it tends to be very competency-based in terms of the questioning. So they're looking at your ability against specific situations and behaviours that you may have demonstrated in the past. So you may be asked questions such as, please give me an example of when or please describe an occasion when, and obviously what you need to then do is think about what's on your CV against the specification of the job, be able to talk it in length and be able to demonstrate very credible reasons and examples which back up your statements. And again, a good recruitment consultant will help you with these types of questions. Okay, so I guess finally it's important to know your strengths and weaknesses, and you need to be able to give specific examples to provide that in a context. So if you're good at handling conflict, then say so, but back it up with specific situations which provide evidence of this. So in terms of the interview itself, the in-house interview does vary. It is different from a private practice interview. However, it is very much depending on who you meet. So if you meet a legal counsel, you'll probably find it's quite technical and actually is not too dissimilar to when you meet a partner in a private practice law firm. If, however, you're interviewing for a first in-house counsel position, or you've been invited back for a second or a third interview, then quite often you can meet non-legal stakeholders in the business, so commercial directors, FDs, CEOs, etc. Now, their technical legal knowledge is not going to be as good as yours, but what they'll be looking for is that you have an ability to work within their business, you fit into the culture, and you're able to communicate legal matters in plain English to the business. So effectively what you want to make sure that you do is that you understand the business, you understand the requirements of the role, and then when you're speaking to these individuals you can give them very succinct answers that avoid technical legal jargon but still manage to impress that you have that technical knowledge, because ultimately it's about more than just your technical ability, it's your commercial ability as well. So what I would say is, if you've prepared your facts and you know your CV inside and out, and your experience is relevant to the company and their requirements, then you're in a great position and you've given yourself the best chance possible. I think the only thing to clearly bear in mind is, like any interview, you need to make sure that you've got a warm handshake and a smile, you make eye contact with the interviewer when you're answering their questions, you try to keep your body language under control, you ensure that you speak clearly, with passion and with confidence, and if you've got a few questions to ask, make sure that you've prepared them in advance so that you are able to impress to them that, again, you've clearly thought about the business and the role and your position within that. So yeah, so finally, if you've got any further questions about anything in this video or other videos on the website, then please do get in touch with either myself or my colleagues here at BCL. I hope that the video is of some use to you. I'll be looking to get a transcript of the conversation on this video on the website, so you can refer to that as well. Obviously, good luck in terms of your job search, and good luck at any interview that you may have coming up.